Finished. We're like a page and a half away in the Maamar Matza of 1944 from the previous Rebbe. If you have your sheets, it's let's see what page does it say over. Page 222. 222. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the top. The last 4 words on the page, which is V'yoser Muvan. Can I ask everyone to mute because there's noise coming into me that's disturbing? Mute your thing, and when you want to talk, press the space bar, and then you can talk. Okay? Thank you. So again, page 222, 6 lines from the top. The word begins V'yoser Muvan Zeh. Now, before we read inside, what we're learning about here is a very interesting idea that is discussed in classical Jewish philosophical writings. You're aware probably that there were amongst the Jewish sages over the centuries various scholars and rabbis who were not only knowledgeable in the Talmud, they were also knowledgeable in what's called Hakira, Jewish philosophy. For example, Maimonides, the Rambam, Reb Sadia Gaon, who's known by his acronym of Rasag, Reish, Samach, Gimel, Rasag, and many others. There were many others that were knowledgeable and wrote treatises on Hakira, on Jewish philosophy. And Jewish philosophy is different than Kabbalah and is different than Chasidus. Jewish philosophy is philosophy. So if you've taken philosophy in college or you've read philosophical books, you know that it's not a Kabbalistic treatise. A Kabbalistic treatise talks about the Sfirot, God's emanations, God's infinity from a spiritual Kabbalistic view. Philosophy is the usage of the mind and understanding everything with the mind and being able to justify things in the mind. And that's why the Guide for the Perplexed, Meira HaNevuchim, that the Rambam wrote, which is, you could say probably the most known Jewish philosophical sefer book that we know about and have. On one hand, it's a very important text. On the other hand, the saying goes, one should only study that during the day, because if they study that at night, they may go to sleep with a question, and they won't have the answer, and they'll wake up an apikoros, a heretic, because the questions are better than the answer. Because it's easy to ask, how can God be this way, and how can he be this way, and, things like that. And the answers are, we say in Yiddish, mit dem groben Finger. This is the finger. It means the grobe finger. Finger means a finger. It doesn't mean only the pointer finger. Grob means fat. Groben Finger means the fat finger. When you learn Gemara in the yeshiva world, you go like this. So this is the pshat, what the Tosfos explains in the Gemara. That's the groben finger. So the answers to many philosophical questions is dependent upon the groben finger attitude. So that's why the saying is, don't learn Meira HaNevuchim at night, because you'll get stuck at the question and you won't have the answer yet, and you won't have the patience and insight to wait for the answer, and you'll decide that, God forbid, and you'll be, heretical. What do we understand from this? We understand that Jewish philosophy has its own set of questions and answers and its own set of dialogue and discussion. Kabbalah is very different, and Chasidus is also different. Nevertheless, what we find in Chasidus is citations from Kabbalah and also citations from Hakira, Jewish philosophy. And I believe here is one of the places in what we're learning now, which touches upon a citation, an idea that's brought in Chakira. And that is the idea that God is omnipotent, and the fact, and his creation is omnipotent, because he, being the creator, is found in the creation. Nevertheless, the fact that there is a death, be it to the humans, to people, or to other domains, animals, and the plantation world, etc., that's only in the detail, but not in what's called the min. Min means the subject group or the category. The category never ceases to end. So when we talk about global warming, we mentioned this briefly yesterday, and there is discussion that, the sun is burning up and all of those things. The overall answer from the Torah perspective, as explained in Jewish philosophy, would be, and Chasidus, would be that, yes, maybe there are particular issues within the category that sees or will seize, but the overall sun that God created during the 6 days of creation will always remain. That means the category, the min of the shemesh remains, and so too for the stars, and so too for the levana, for the moon, etc. This is what we're discussing over here. The language used in the Jewish philosophical writing is lo ne'edar. Ne'edar means to prevent, to stop. Lo ne'edar. It will never be prevented. It will never cease to be. It will continue to be. So let's now learn inside. This is a little introduction to what we're learning. The Yoser moving zeh, this will be more understood. When we focus on the heaven and the heavenly hosts. The heaven and all the orbits, and the heavenly hosts, they are like they were the day they were created. No difference. As the Jerusalem Talmud quotes and says, Al Pasik, in regard to the verse, quote, Eile Teildesh Hashamayim, these are the offsprings of heaven, the haaretz, and the earth. B'yoyim hibaram, the day they were created. Comes along the Jerusalem Talmud and takes this verse and says, Sheim chazokim, the heavens and the earth are as mighty, as chazak, as strong, kiyoyim hibaram, like the day that they were created. There is no diminishing of the potency of the heavens and the earth thousands of years later, as it was when God created them on the first day, on the day of when they were created. This is a rhetorical remark. How could that be? They are limited creatures, umurkovim miguf v'nefesh, and they are murkav, they are comprised of a body and a soul, mugbul v'efshori, the body being limited and only potent, v'efshori ahefsid, and potentially destructive. So how could you say that, how can the Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud, make the statement that the offsprings of Shamayim v'aretz are as strong as they were the day they were created, if they are a creation, and a creation is mugbal, is limited? That's the rhetorical question. Now comes the retort. Umikol makoim. Nevertheless, ish mehem lo nedar. The category never ceases to end. Belishum shinui v'hefsek klal. Not only does it not end this category of heavens and earth, but there is no shinui. There is no change, vehefsik klal, and any interruption whatsoever. Umash Amurazal, the fact that the Chazal say, Shis alfei shnin have alma. This is another rhetorical question. Chazal say, the sages say, 6,000 years have alma. There is the world. V'chad charuv, and then there is one charuv. I think charuv means like a fig. In other words, there'll be a time when figs will grow all over, meaning this is a reference to the Messianic age. Shomayim ke'oshan nimlechu, the heavens will be salted with smoke. V'ha'oretz kabeged tichle, and the earth will become naught, like a garment that spoils. In other words, that like a garment becomes old, right? So,
yeah, I think, Rabbi.
Yes.
I think that the word charuv here means desolate, but not a fig.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's referring to that Messianic era. I think it's referring to something else.
Maybe literally, I'm aware of that charuv means desolate, but I believe the way it's interpreted in Kabbalah and Chasidus is that if you compare the Messianic experience to what was before, it's like there's no comparison. But yes, literally does mean desolate. But I was giving the other interpretation. But let's see what it says. Yeah, right. So you're right. I should have translated it your way, because this is part of the rhetorical question, which implies that the world will be desolate. Correct. I'm sorry. I should have not interjected the other interpretation. Harei. So Harei begins now the retort. So Umash Amur Razal is the rhetorical question. How can you tell me that there is no end to the heavens and the earth, both from the Chazal and both from the verse? The implication is there'll be a major change in the Bria, in the creation. So he retorts, he responds, Harei shesof kol sof yifsedu. The Rebbe says at the end will be, at the very end there'll be a hefsid, a loss, a destruction. Hinezeu rak b'tzad rotzon haboyer sheyekach. So this is important. He says this is only because Hashem decides at that moment that's what he wants. Not because every day that it existed it became less and less and less and less energy. No. The way it was created, that's the way it is till whenever Hashem decides, at this point I want you to cease being. That's his answer. Harei zeh rak mitzad ritzoin haboyer. This is only because the will. Ki ein zeh ki inyan ha'ifseidu shemibreishis havayosei maschali posit. Okay, he's going to bring here a tremendous bechayai, which is a commentator, of course, on the Chumash, where the Rabbeinu Bechaya says that hefsid, Boaz, hefsid means loss, destruction, deterioration begins. Good morning, Ruvain. Good day, Ruvain. Deterioration doesn't begin when you're 75 years old or 65 years old. It begins from the first day of birth. Let's see what he says. An infant, from the day that he is born, he begins to dry up. In other words, death begins at birth. Vahainu shahafseidus hitomid boy. The idea of hefseidus, meaning deterioration, is constantly within the creature and creation from the moment it was created. That's as far as the human being on earth. Avol shamayim v'horetz, but the heavens and the earth, shehem chazokim kiyom hibaram, they are as mighty today as they were when the day they were created. Ve'ein b'hem shum hafsedus klal, and they don't have any deterioration whatsoever. Kiyim, rather only la'osid lavi, in the future. Yafsidu b'mheira b'yameinu amen. They will. What is that? They will deteriorate. And then he says, "Ein zeh ki inyan hafsedus." He repeats the point. It's not the deterioration that we speak about, like the Bechayai said, that begins at birth. Kiyim. What is the notion of deterioration by the heaven and the earth? It's mitzad rotzon habayre shebekaimon. It's the will of God that sustains them. And when God decides that he wants them now to deteriorate, they will deteriorate automatically. And you don't need global warming for that. You follow? In other words, the argument of global warming or other such philosophies is that there's a continuous deterioration and it's inherent in the species. What we're learning here in the Maamar is not that way. The Maamar says, yeah, if there will be deterioration, it's because God decides at a certain point, boom, zoom, I don't want it anymore. But not that in itself self-deteriorates, self-destructed. And if this is the case, Hakiyum Shelohem Achshav, their existence right now, Hukiyum Bilti Mishuna Bilti Nifsik. It's an existence of non-changing and non-interruption. The kiyum, this entity, this category is in its full force the way it was from the day it was created by God as a godly experience that's not destructive and that's not deteriorating. Im kain nirev heitif. Yes.
I wanted to comment on that. It seems like a good example of this is in the discussion of the extinction of species. One of the arguments in ecology is how many species are going extinct, and they come and go, but it seems like the argument he's making here is species may come and go, but the fact that there's chayos in the world is that's a cloud that will continue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. This touches upon that whole venue of discussion that you bring to the table. Anyway, let's continue. He says, Boaz, are you with me? Hello?
Sorry about that. I'm with you.
Okay, Yoni. Yeah, I can see. Yoni, are you with me, or you're where I haven't heard you? Yoni?
Well, you told me to mute myself, so I muted myself.
Okay. No, it's fine. I just want to make sure everyone's there and not...
I'm here, Rabbi. I'm here.
Very good. Im kain, 4 lines from the bottom, in the middle of the line, nire heitev, it seems very well, sheyesh koach habilti bal gvul, shemechayu mekayim oisetomit. What is it that makes it possible for these species to be potent? Although they've been in existence thousands of years, it's what we call koyach habilti bal gvul, the power of infinity. There is gvul. There is the way Hashem puts his power of finite into the world. But here, the fact that the species haven't deteriorated at all, an iota, is proof that what aspect of Hashem sustains and enlivens and creates the heavens and the earth. It's what we call koyach habilti bal gvul, the power of infinity of God. Another point, Hine hagalgalim, the orbits, im kihem gufim rabim, the Rambam writes, there are many bodies, many beings of celestial beings. Kol echad yesh lo hiluch meyuchad u'meshuna mechaveirei. Each orbit has a different circular style and is different than its other orbit. And nevertheless, kulam mechuvanim will say that echad, but nevertheless they're all going in one direction. Liyosh eis hayoim v'halayla. They're all following the dictates of day, night, v'koir, winter, v'choim, kayetz, v'choim. I mean, koir is cold and choim is heat. Kayetz is summer, choiref is winter. Zera, plantation, v'kotzer, and reaping and cutting the tfuah, the wheat. In other words, each one has its particular idea, but they all follow one system, which is nature that Hashem creates, and they all follow in that way. Imkein, mihu hamakashram, who connects them? You got to give me a second now. I got to bring up my second page over here. Okay? Give me a second, please. Oh, where are you already? Okay, so he says, Mihu amakashra u'machrichim v'anoga kizois, who brings them together. Okay, I need you to mute that. Whoever's up there, mute it, please. Mute it. 1 second. Okay, got it. So who is the one to bring them together, to be makasher them? He says, who is that? Al korchoch einay hanefesh v'hakoach shebetoich kol galgul. It's not the soul and the power within each orbit. Shehakoyach v'hanefesh shebetoich kol galgul v'chol kochav I efsher leirak lahanik tnua gilgul zeh. Because that energy just deals with the particular orbit that it is restricted to and responsible for. V'loi, the third line on 223. V'loi sheyiskasher v'yischaber al yidei zem gilgul gzulosai. It's not responsible for it to connect itself to another orbit. V'loi al yidei zeh yih seder v'hamishtar sheyishma kol echad tzvivu v'yishayket kol al makoymei hamyuchad loi sheyih nishmar haseder tomid ba'olam v'yifulu kulam pulo achas tmidis. He's saying, what he's getting at is that there's a higher force that brings them all together, because they, each one on their own, is just thinking about themselves. My job is to plant. My job is to reap. My job is to give warmth. My job is to give cold. My job is to be night. My job is to be day. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about how they all work together. That's something that comes from the energy, from the Eibishter, from God's power. It's a little bit philosophical here. Don't say, this is a rhetorical point. Don't say that what's bringing them together is what we call the orbit of the day. Shekol galgalin kvuim boy, because it says that all of the orbits are set in that galgal, in that general orbit. Vimkein hoyam mokim b'seichel leima. We could have argued intellectually. Shenefesh hagalgal hazeh hu hamisakem klulam ki'ish echad al kavona achas. That it is this force that brings them together. Says the Rebbe, we can't say this. We can't accept this argument. The truth is, all the galgalim, the orbits, are like the limbs of man that are all connected together. And all the limbs of man make up one body. It's not the pshat ruvain that every limb, my hand is an independent entity. My feet, no, it's wrong. All together make up what we call a goof, a body. And if one limb is missing, there's a deficiency in the entire body. Each limb is a part of the body and connected to the rest of the body. But when we talk about the orbits, it's not so. Every individual guf b'fnei atzmai, every individual orbit is an independent guf. And the proof is azeh. Mashal galgalim muchulakim zeh mizeh b'sibuvam. When they make their orbit, when they make their circle, each one makes a different circle. That shows that there's an independence there. The Rambam quotes Halacha Beis in that section. He quotes now the Rambam. Galgalim seivim emarev lemizrach. They circle from west to east. And there are some that circle from east to west. Until here is the language of the Rambam. And in that sefer it says that we see in the 7 stars. Each one has a particular path, and it's very decisive in that path.
Do you know what that sefer is?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. The first time I've come across it. I don't. When I have chance, I'll ask. I don't. But what it says here is, Hillel, what he says in that sefer, that each one of the Shiva Koichve Leches, 7 stars, is an independent one, and each one has a specific path to its job, and each one is resolute on its own. It's a mahalich, it's a path that's not similar to its friend. And if so, it's impossible for us to say that these orbits, these galgalim, are one goof. That's what he's trying to say. They're not one goof. Because if they were one goof, they would all have one mahalich. The imkain eich yisoiviv ktsosei kach uktsosei kach. How can it be, if you were to say that they are one goof, how can it be some make the circle this way, some make its path this way, and it could be that two of them are totally in different directions. Like it says in that sefer, like the Rambam says, this one's orbit is from east to west, and the other one is from west to east. And what we call the galgal hayomi, the day galgal, misaviv memizrach u'mayriv, u'shara galgalim bruba misavivim sivuv atzma mimayriv lemizrach, and the rest of the Galgalim, most of them circulate from west to east. This is a philosophical argument. It's impossible for one goof to have at the simultaneous time two opposing directions. It's like a one-way street. Who are you? Make up your mind. You can't go this way and that way because you end up with a crash. That's his point. Therefore, we can't say that the Galgalim are guf echad. Elo behechrach, we must say shehem gufem uvdolim zeh mizeh. These Galgalim are two distinct and different from each other, all of them. So the question now is, so what brings them all together? If they're in their own right different, the answer is there's a koyach echad elyon. There's one force, one supernal force, that's above them, each of them. V'hu bilti bal gvul. And he is not a gvul at all. He's not limited. He's infinite in true infinity. V'hu amakashra. And it is this koyach echad elyon bilti bal gvul that connects them, umechabram yachad lekavona achas, and brings them together for one force. Let's learn the kitzer. Yevoyer asogav asbonis amichedes lemidas hateferes. In the beginning of this paragraph, we spoke about the appropriate meditation to deal with the midas hateferes, the midah of mercy, which, by the way, everyone knows how much teferes we need now, how much rachmanis we need. So it's a good time to relearn the beginning of the Maamar on your free time and to think about the particular meditation to evoke God's teferes. V'hu gedulas Hashem shemahava machaya oilamos. He says briefly what that meditation is, Boaz. How Hashem is mahava, he creates, umechaya oilamos, and he sustains the worlds v'nefroyim and the creatures, ad ein shir adam v'naidim. And he quotes the verse, Hashomayim esaprim kivoideo. The heavens bespeak the honor of God. Mitzvah Hashomayim anu yodim. When we look at the heavenly hosts, we know but ability bagvul, that God is truly infinite. Tzva Haaretz, when you look at the earthly hosts, kayomim bamim, they exist in category, in species. Utzva shomayim kayom beish. Tzva Haaretz kayom bemin. Tzva shomayim kayom beish. Sorry. The heavenly hosts exist in category, in ish. The idea. That always remains. And it doesn't cease. Whereas human beings, earthly, is kayom bemin. And that's why there is death to the individual, etc. We explained towards the end of the Maamar that the Galgalim, the orbits, are separate gufos. Everyone has their own path. Nevertheless, they all are oriented to one idea, to one seder. You can't tell me that it's because of the soul of that particular orbit, and not because of the soul that's known as the soul of the Galgal Yomi. It comes from the infinite koach within them. Now, the next Maamar is a continuation of this Maamar, so we will start it tomorrow. Oh, you guys don't have the next Maamar. Oh, I forgot to ask Shmuel to send it to you. I'm going to try to get my friend to send it to me, and I'll WhatsApp it to you. Because we haven't really gone back to the beginning of Matza, right, to answer the questions. So I hope we could do that. Any questions of anybody? Anybody have a question or comment?
I didn't understand what you meant about the next Maamar.
This Maamar has a follow-up, Vayoylech Hashem, that you don't have in front of you, but there's another Maamar that's what's called a Hemshech. In Chabad Chasidus, there's something called Hemshechim, continuums. The Rabbeim certain times said a series of discourses, but each one had a beginning and end. So to get the whole idea, you have to learn the entire thing. Like the famous discourse of the Rebbe Rashab that it began in 1911 didn't finish till 1915 or 16. Like every Shabbos really was a continuation of the previous week. Whenever he said the previous Maamar, and then they printed it in 3 volumes. Those Maamorim. So 3 years. I think it was longer. Really, only 3 years. Anyway, so the thing is that. Shmuel, can you ask Rabbi Bart to send us the next Maamar and then send it out to the WhatsApp, or you don't have time?
Yes. I'll ask it if you can't find it. If not, I'll photograph the pages. I have the same for you.
Oh, okay. But it's better if we...
Don't send it by WhatsApp. Send it by email.
Yeah.
Then we can print it.
I need people's emails.
Okay, so will everyone please... So, Shmuel, what email? Give them your email. Give them your email.
I'm sending it by email.
Your email address through WhatsApp.
Yeah, I'm sending it now, Shmuel.
Okay, so everyone...
Your email, Shmuel?
Through WhatsApp.
Yeah, just text him your email to WhatsApp, and then he'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Shmuel, what's your email? Give me your email address now. I'll send it right